ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Estate Times TV. We are at episode 1, 2022, and today we have a very special guest, as always, graciously present. This is Janine Leafe of PKF Finance in Perth. Janine, welcome.
Hi, Prash. It's absolutely lovely to be the first on your show.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
Janine. You are the fortunate number one, and hopefully for many more to come. Janine, how are you doing today, and how have you been at the start of 2022?
It's been an amazing start to the year. It kind of feels like it never ended from last year. It's just flowed on. Business-wise, I know that you'd feel the same. It's been an exceptional financial year to date, and we've been very fortunate over here. So yeah, things are going really good.
Great to hear, and truly, indeed, it's been the same on my end too, and fingers crossed it will continue despite what's happening on the macro level. However, we will have a chat about that in more detail. How about we start our show today talking about the property market, where we stand at the moment in Perth with a number of listings, number of sales, and where we believe it could be going. Janine, I'll give a brief outline on the marketplace, and it'll be good to hear your thoughts as well. For those of you that are not following Janine on her socials, please check her out. She puts in some incredible short insights on a weekly basis that I absolutely love, and you will too. So without further ado, let's do that. Janine, I'm just about to share a screen so we can have a look at the current marketplace in Perth. All right, so this is from Ariba. We currently have about 997 sales. Week ending last week, of course, the 23rd of January. Same time last year, we were looking at 815 sales. So that has gone up considerably. It has been consistent over the December, early January period, despite most thinking that over the Christmas period, there would be a slowdown into 2022. However, if we do look at the number of properties for sale, that's 8,256 properties. This includes lands as well. Obviously, there are lesser land available at the moment compared to June to October last year and the year before that, 2020. The optimum number of listings in Perth we should be looking at to have a balanced market is around the 10,000 to 12,000 homes. Would you be in agreement with that, Janine?
Yeah, that's about right, I reckon.
Yep, and we do believe that this positive upswing in the market should continue forward, especially with the reopening / delayed reopening, whatever transpires over the next few months. We believe there still will be positive interest, not only from people over east, but also international buyers who are seeing Perth as a safe haven. However, what's more important is we need to look at the variances that will affect the market. And this is where I believe Janine comes, and Janine's expertise comes into play. Just before we do that, Janine, before getting into the interest rates, was what I was about to chat to you about. Let's look at the median price. Currently, as of December 2021, we are sitting at $520,000. That's our median price right there, Janine. And what we look at is that in 2014, the median price at the height of the market was $545. So 25,000, we are almost reaching there. As you can see the graph from 2020, there's been a sharp increase of where the median prices in Perth has gone. Now, bearing in mind, this is across Perth Metro and the surrounding region as well. So we do believe that there's still room for it to increase, which shows that the positive upswing will continue to go. So let's take a look at the variances, and we will have a chat with Janine. Janine, while you are here, please tell us, where do you see the interest rates going this year, and how finances across the board is being impacted?
Well, interestingly enough, based on what you were just showing before, right, so that massive increase that we've just had based on the median house prices, Damien Collins just released some figures from Domain across the median house prices across Australia nationally, and each of the states is performing quite well, obviously. But I think that there's a number of drivers that are contributing to that. So one of the main factors is obviously the interest rates. So my concern is we're getting this massive drive on house prices, but ultimately it's because it's because of the cost. It's cheap, right? So the repayments are cheap. The house prices are more expensive, but the repayments are cheap. I believe it's the repayments that are actually driving this pressure too, because what people couldn't afford, they now can afford. And I use the inverted commas because ultimately my concern is that once the interest rates do actually increase, and that is where they're now trending back to it, they should be, people are then going to be in a sticky situation. So there's always going to be pros and cons in every single market. In the current market, as long as you've got equity, you're fine, because then you've got a buffer if things do correct to some degree. I'm not saying there's property crashes or whatever are going to happen. There's a lot of drama out there. But what's happening at the moment is quite unusual. Sydney and Melbourne have gone completely off the radar, like in terms of median house price. And so WA apparently is the cheapest state in Australia as of today, which I find absolutely bizarre. So again, I think WA, we've done exceptionally well because we've been protected due to everything that Mark McGowan have done, and there's a that we'll put aside on there now, but ultimately we are financially doing exceptionally well. The interest rates are low because there's money flying around. People are buying, they want to buy, and it's driving the demand, and therefore house prices are going up. So look, in terms of interest rates, they are increasing. I'm watching it daily. I work in it. I'm gearing to do my highest volume year yet in my career, in which you and I have discussed. And I'm very willing to work very hard during this time. But because of that, and that's part and parcel with people buying and selling regularly, it's just an insane market everywhere. But the interest rates are going to go back up. And I think that may potentially slow things down because the affordability cash flow wise and what people can afford repayment wise is going to change.
Well said, Janine. And Janine touched on a few points there that's really important, because we need to look at what's happening nationally as well to see how that will impact Perth. But very, very well put there. We'll also put in the Damien Collins, what he mentioned, or his latest figures in the description below. So that way our listeners and our viewers can have a quick gander and see for themselves as well. So Janine, a quick one now. What are your thoughts firstly on the current buyers and how they are purchasing? Where do you see them going as the year progresses? And what is the best tip that they can take on to themselves as they're out there purchasing?
So realistically, I think people need to be more savvy about the whole process at large. So because there's such a demand out there, what's happening now is when people are going to purchase properties, there's multiple buyers, which you'd know, Prash, and there's a lot of demand. And if a property is hot and it's well priced in the market, there are going to be multiple people there. From my perspective, as somebody giving finance, what I'm trying to do is educate my clients before they go and purchase. So get your pre-approvals in place, have a conversation with me in terms of what places you best in the market. So for example, I have some clients that have got multiple transactions that need to occur before they can purchase, i.e. they need to sell their property and somebody needs to purchase their property, sell theirs to get theirs. And there's this chain of events before they purchase the X property. That makes you very weak in the market. If you're going to the market already with cash, so you've got a deposit, a nice deposit in place, you've got your pre-approval, you can go straight and make an offer, which you know as an agent, and which you probably enjoy more as well, because you go, great, they've already got finance waiting to go. All I need to do is give them the offer and acceptance and they're going to be approved, right? So the hot tip is get your pre-approvals, but also be realistic in that it's taking an awful long time. So another way to really position yourself financially and for the real estate market is, once you've got a pre-approval, or just put the application in as a pre-approval, and then if your broker is confident that you can get the loan, then straight away make an offer on something. So they've given you your maximum borrowing capacity, you get the pre-approval, but then just make the offer. And then as soon as you've made the offer, they have to work to the finance due date. So the lender has to work to the finance due date, and in that way, boom, it can move quite quickly. So if it's a 21-day finance clause, then the lender will have to work to that finance due date. Just to give you a bit of realism, there are some lenders out there currently that are struggling in terms of volume, and that is because their interest rates are blowing everybody else out of the water. I won't name names on the lender, but this particular lender, they may be extending on finance due dates. So if you're in a position where you feel like you may lose a property, it's definitely important to speak to a broker that understands the lender that's going to get the finance for you now, as opposed to you having to have finance extensions, because you may potentially lose a property by having those finance due dates extended out. And I'd like to know what you think on that as well, Prash.
Yeah. I think that's great advice, firstly with the checklist and having to make sure that you got everything in place prior to going to make your offer, because yes, it does put you in a strong position. And with regards to the extensions of the finance, we are seeing a lot of that happen, especially over the November-December period. As you've mentioned, the lenders and their attractive interest rates, but it's also the volume that they're dealing with. And like yourself at the moment, Janine, you're dealing with with tons of buyers that are looking to purchase, and obviously the lenders themselves are doing the same. So my thought process is very, very similar to yours, Janine. It's very important that you get everything in place first. Select the right person that will give you an indicative time, and if there is a potential that is going to extend your finance, then all I can recommend to the people that are listening is to have that in advance and transparent. So let the agent know that, listen, have a direct conversation with the broker. This may take longer. So in your offer, put in instead of a 21-day, put in a 28-day or an on or before date. So that gives you the possibility, if you do get your finance prior, fantastic. If there is a potential that it should extend itself, at least you've got the leeway in place. But open communication is important. So that's what we tell all of our clients, that let us know early, so we can communicate that to our clients, our sellers, and they will agree in turn to allow that to happen. But more importantly, having a broker like Janine, you have checklists in place that you can get yourself ready to market. So instead of jumping out and searching for your properties, falling in love with something and end up not being able to purchase because you're not ready, have your in line. So important.
Absolutely. And look, it's not a quick market as you're just going about your ordinary business and then you go, oh, tomorrow I'm going to start looking in the market, I want to buy. You've got to be preparing yourself months in advance. So what I say by that, from the financial perspective, make sure that your bank accounts are clean, make sure you've got your savings in place, make sure that when you're seeing your broker, you're disclosing all of your debts. The lenders out there are becoming more tight and more critical on debts that you have, even ones from the past. And more recently, I had one that was very bizarre, where they were pulling up a credit card that was closed years ago, and I mean over 7 years ago, and they said, well, we want to close your letter. I was like, it's closed. But again, you have to do what you need to do. So the lenders are becoming more critical. They want to know your whole history. They need to get more of a story on who the character is, so the person applying for the loan. And that's my job. My job is to present you the best that I can with what I've got. So you've got to also help yourself. So just make sure that everything that you're saying is correct, and that there's nothing untoward that's going to come back later during the assessment process, because there's only so much I can do with the information that I'm given.
Yes, no, well said. Again, honesty and transparency matters. Even when you are looking for your property as well and you're going to make your offer, be transparent with your real estate agent. There will be a lot of people out there who may not want to do this, but that's what we're here there. We're there for. We're there to help you. We're there to assist you forward. And with, as Janine mentioned, with honesty, we can get you closer to the finish line in a much, much more better way. Awesome.